Hello.
Hi.
Car. I'm in my car. I've literally been kidnapped by my friends. I'm at McMenamins. It's McMenamins Anderson School 90th birthday. So we're here to get our McMenamins passport stamps. And my friends are like, you don't need to go home. And so I'm like, oh, I could do this from my car. So please, my
Yeah.
background is literally my car. Today I have Miss Trish, my friend, Miss Beanbag Hagwell.
Hello.
Uh,
Hi.
and she's got a ghost story for us. Go for it.
Well,
I'm
I have
excited.
a few ghost stories.
Okay.
For the first time I really felt the presence of a spirit was 20 years ago when my dad died, and um, I felt his face touch mine after his
Oh,
passing. It was on his birthday, and ever since then, it's um, it's kind of grown this ability to see spirit or feel spirit. It's funny how that happens. You know, the more divination a person does,
yeah.
the more it opens themselves up to it.
Mhm.
And so most of my ghost stories are from at work. I've I've worked in a nursing home night shift for a very long time, and my there are so many experiences there. The elevators go up and down all night long. I hear doors close and open all night long, and that's always been the case. Um, but in the last 10 years or so, it's gotten so I can actually not just feel spirit, but I've seen spirit and I have heard spirit speak to me. I don't know what kind of energy it is. I don't know if it's a ghost or what. But one of the one of the best examples is one night I was walking down the hall. It was probably 3-ish in the morning, maybe a little earlier.
The witching
And
hour.
yeah,
The
no
witching
warning,
hour.
right? Certainly. Um, I was about 40 feet down the hall from a woman's room, and I saw a person, a woman, dressed in a winter coat. I don't even remember if it was wintertime or not. Um, but she was dressed in a woman's coat and she had her head down, but she was walking with purpose and quickly, like she had a job to do. And she
She was like,
walked into,
with the paper.
yes,
Huh.
right. And she walked into one of the patient's rooms. And I immediately thought, what is the lab doing here? It's so early.
So
So
you're
I went
telling
in.
me that ghost nurse Ratchet just came up on you?
So I walked down the hall. I didn't take my eyes off that room and went in the room, and there was nobody in there. So that was the first time I actually saw
Oh
something. And
my
it
God.
I know. And it wasn't, like people say you can see through them. It's kind of like a mist or whatever.
Mhm,
None of that. This was a
mhm,
woman dressed in a winter coat
mhm,
going into this room.
mhm.
And then she just disappeared. The
Wow.
most recent one is I walked into the kitchen, into the kitchen, not the dining room, where they actually prepare the food because everybody eats all night long. They don't sleep. Um, so it was dark, and I've been there a long time, and I'm used to working in the dark, and I didn't turn on the kitchen lights, so it was dark in
Uh-huh.
front of me. And as I walked forward into the kitchen, a voice commanded, go back.
Ooh.
And I know. And I thought I recognized the voice. It was an old woman's voice. Um, and I went back. I didn't go back. I didn't go in the kitchen. I listened and I went back. So that was the first time I've ever heard anybody. There couldn't have been anybody in the kitchen that worked there. There's only two of us on that floor. There's only five of us in the building.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
That one scared me a bit. I didn't go in the kitchen for about 2 weeks. And every time I go in the kitchen, I flip all the lights on now, make a lot of noise, just because I'm kind of freaked out by it all. Another example is I was sitting at my desk, and you know those behind me, there's like a bulletin board, but it's the kind where you can press a paper to it and it'll stick there, right? You don't
Okay.
tap
Yeah.
it in, it just sticks there. So my
Yeah.
nurse walked behind me in front of that paper, and I watched the paper fall to the ground, and she kept going. And I turned around to what I was doing, thought, okay, I'll finish what I'm doing, and then I'll put the paper back up. And so it was a matter of like 20 seconds, and I
Yeah.
turned around and the paper was back up.
So somebody would have had to put,
Yeah. And nobody
yeah.
was there but me.
Wow.
I know, it's so spooky.
Wow.
Witches, I guess, aren't supposed to be so freaked out by that stuff, but this witch is a little freaked out by it.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm like I've said before, I'm a constantly haunted person. So like when
I
you
am
had said
so
before,
thankful I'm not.
you should be. I know Noah always just like, I wish I had half of what she had. It's like
Mm.
the truth is you really, really don't, because it's like
I don't
even
want it.
today I'm out off the island. I've got my protective jewelry and all my amulets, oils, and all this stuff on just so that I can focus on what my friends are saying. Otherwise, it's like
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't
lot.
like it a bit. And I know I've opened myself up to that over the years. You know,
Yeah,
with any kind of divination you do, you're exercising that skill, I think, whether it's tarot or scrying or whatever it
yeah,
is. And
yeah.
I think if you're going to do that, you have to be prepared for that to open up.
You
And
do. You
it's
do.
not always a pretty thing, you know?
It isn't. And I think that, at different levels of our practice or different levels of our gifts, because sometimes it comes in a little bit. Also, sometimes it's seasonal. Sometimes, I mean, there's just so many variables to it. There are times that I see full on people, like you were saying. Sometimes I see half of a person and then mist below. Sometimes I see like the movie Predator, where you can tell they're there, but they don't want to show themselves. Or I will hear them. I hear them more often than anything. But when I was a little kid, I would full on see people, to the point where I didn't know if who I was talking to was a real person or not a real person. And so then I just stopped talking. When I was probably about 5 or 6, I just sort of stopped talking because I didn't know who was really real. And that's scary. That's
Yeah,
scary as
it
a
is
kid.
scary. You know,
Yeah.
I had an imaginary friend as a child. Her name was Donna. I don't remember her. I'm told I was probably 3 or 4. I have
Mhm.
no recollection of this woman, Donna, or, I don't know if she's a woman, a child, what. But I pulled some cards one time, and you know how the universe kind of fucks with you sometimes,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, I want to know who this Donna was, okay? I want to know who Donna was, and I I pull a card and flip it over, and it's the devil.
Oh Lord.
You know,
Oh my
yeah, right. Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to know who Donna was.
Maybe I don't want to know. Maybe I don't want to know. I mean, I also know that there's different types of divination that will lead to different types of spirits, different types of entities. I've learned, at least for my personal practice, that when you're messing with Ouija boards or spirit boards, it generally is a low level type of spirit that's a very easy connect, because they want something
Right.
from you, and they're like, oh, you want to play? Let's play.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you go pendulum work, it's a little bit different. When you go tarot, it's a little different, and then full on mediumship doesn't require any of those tools. It happens for me all the time. I don't need those tools, but I get a lot of I get a lot of dead people around me. So like if I'm out and about, like for example, I'm here with my friend Jen. Her parents had passed away in a very tragic way, and here they come, and they're like, we're L and L, and I just sort of like, it was the first time I met Jen, and I'm like, who's L and L? And she's like, my parents' names were Lucy and Larry, and I'm like.
Wow.
And then
Hello.
all of a sudden, right behind her, his face comes out like he's like, peekaboo, I see you kind of situation. And he's like, I'm good. And then her wife had something really nasty attached to her as a child. And I'm over here like meeting these people for the first time. And I'm like, look, whoever Philip is has got to go, because Philip was pretending to be Jen's dead dad.
Oh my stars.
So this is the shit that happens to me.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
don't
I just got
want it.
chills.
I don't want it. I've never really had a bad feeling with any of the things I've seen, except for one time, and that was in 2020. That was last year. It was right after all the rioting here, and I was in my backyard, and coming along the side of my house, above my garden, was just this black, it looked like black smoke. Just this like little cloud, probably, 4 feet by 2 feet, just floating. It was so bad. And I knew it was so bad. And it was as it was coming into the backyard. And I'm like, no, you got to go. And it did, but I don't know what that was. I just know that it was some bad energy.
I know what it is. It's one step from a shadow person. So here's a tip. Here's a medium tip for you, a witchy tip. So when you start seeing the black smoke, that actually manifests. What it wants to do is scare you, and it feeds off of your scared energy. It really, really does. And it starts to get closer and closer and closer. And all of a sudden, then you have a shadow person in your house, and then they start coming for you.
I didn't let it scare me. I was more pissed off than anything, because it was such a horrible time around my city, and I was angry and pissed off, and I wasn't letting it in.
Good. You know what? And that's the first step of defense. When you're angry and you're holding those boundaries, you can't be like, okay, go away. You got to be like, motherfucker, get the fuck.
Exactly.
I mean, you gotta get there. You gotta like bring out your parental everything as if you were protecting your baby, and you gotta bubble. You just gotta do it. It's gotta come out. It's gotta be primal.
Yep. I did set up protections around the house after that. Sometimes I'm a little lax with doing that. And that's just an example of why you need to do that around your house and your property.
You do. Yeah. Especially if you're heavy in your practice, and you probably have to up it maybe a little bit more. So if you're doing it once a month, try to do it every other week.
Yeah, last week my husband can't remember, we were we were talking about the things I see out at work, and he was one of those I bring home with me. And he said it in jest, but really they could follow you right out, so
they can, and they will. They will. If you have, I've had them jump into my car, not this car, because I learned how to, protect it. Jump in my car. I don't know if you saw the one where Ridley was talking, they were over here and they saw it or whatever. And I'm like, make no sudden moves. Do not give it what it wants. Don't even look in the rearview mirror. And they're like, Mom, what are we doing? And, and they were little at that time. Well, I mean, junior high. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, just don't give it any whatever. I'm just like looking at them and like almost telepathically to my kid, like, just zip it. Just zip it. We're going to listen to the radio. Everything's fine. You know what I mean? Like
I don't like it.
It feels a very prey predator situation. So all of a sudden you got to be the predator. You got to be it.
Anger with anger.
Yep. Yeah. That's when your anger can serve you. Yep.
It
for
sure
sure.
does.
Sure does. Damn. Well, I do not envy you at all because I have a hard time in hospitals. I have a very difficult time in hospitals. Um, it's not that I'm scared of the medical procedure. I've even had a ghost doctor that wanted to come and evaluate me and start. I'm just like, so you can imagine, like,
Yeah,
it's hell. It's absolute
I'm
hell. And
sure.
I'm like,
I'm sure.
I just can't do this.
You know, now that I'm on day shift instead of night shift, I'm wondering if I'll still be able to see all of these things. It's so much
Right.
easier when it's quiet and there's only 5 people in the building, but during the day, it is so busy and there's not 5 people, there's probably 65 people. And I'm just wondering if I'll see any of that anymore.
Right.
I kind of hope I do see a little something, but you know.
I think once you have it, it's not something that like really goes away. But I do think that sometimes seasonal. I think this Samhain season feels a bit different. Well, I mean, we're really in Maybon right now, but you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
it
it's thinning. It's
it's
thinning quickly.
really intense. It's pretty
Yeah.
intense this year, more so than others. And I'm like, okay, like I'm ready for it. I'm glad I didn't have my surgery this month. I'm glad I had it last month, but I feel
Yes.
stronger to handle it. I think. Maybe.
Well, really, we
Well,
can handle anything.
we sure can. We
Yeah.
sure can. We're resilient. We're resilient. um, is that your ghost stories? You done?
I am done with the
Okay.
ghost stories.
Well, then tell them about your shot because I want to give a shout out to you. So go ahead,
Okay.
talk to
Well,
them about your
now
stuff
that
and your
I am
beautiful
not,
things.
thank you. Now that I'm not working as many hours on my side job, my real job is Crooked Cane Designs. I do artwork and I design intention candles and spell sets. Most of it is custom work,
Mhm.
um, geared towards whatever my client wants. Occasionally, I'll put things in the shop for anybody, but I'm sure my link will be somewhere in the description box. So,
It sure will. It sure
yeah.
will. Absolutely. I will do that as soon as this posts. Absolutely. I was blessed a long, long time ago. How we two met was like through Facebook, and we did like put a little group together of us, quote unquote, newbie witches that just
Yeah.
wanted to be able to have a connection. And then we would do like Samhain swaps together.
Oh,
So
that was
I
so
got the
fun.
original candles. I
That
still
was
have
so
them,
fun.
and I still have a couple of them. I burned one down and then I saved the others, the two. They're beautiful. They're
Thank
absolutely
you.
stunning. They're
Thank
absolutely
you.
stunning. The aesthetics on these candles are absolutely gorgeous, totally different than anything that I put together. They're just
It
beautiful.
brings
I
me
mean,
a lot of joy. It brings me a
good.
lot of joy to make my candles, and I put a lot of effort into them, a lot of magic into them. So,
Well,
you know,
you can feel it. You can feel it. You get stuff from her and it's like love. It's like love. And
thank you.
um I've gotten some things that you've made for my altars and for my deities, and it's like when I was unpackaging them, it was like my goddess was like, I mean, like it was great. I mean,
That is so sweet.
that's the energy of you. I just think that you're super special and I love
Thank
you.
you. I love you too. I always have, always will.
Aw. Yeah, that's forever. Like
It
one day we'll meet in person and it'll be a great big huge hug for sure. I love
will
your
be.
face.
It will be for sure. I love you too.
Mhm. Well, okay, tomorrow we've got Dorothy on the channel. If you didn't remember Dorothy, remember way back in 2016 when there was somebody on YouTube called Fluff Bunny because she was so tired of that negative connotation. She now lives
Yes.
here. She came up from San Diego with her kids, and so she lives on the island mass next to me on the Kitsap Peninsula. So we're going to talk about ghost stories, and it's pretty awesome because she is, I think she's in the Navy now, but I think she's got some like haunted stories of medical hospitals in certain areas. And I'm like, ooh, give it the
Oh, I
juice.
can hardly wait. I
I
love
know.
this series. I think it's been so fun to listen to them. Mark was so funny
Oh my
yesterday.
God.
Was it
Mark.
yesterday or the day before?
I think it was yesterday. Oh my God, I
Yesterday.
had so much fun with Mark. And I loved how Nathan is just like, no, girl. I'm telling
I
you,
can just see the three of them running out of there.
they're hilarious. And somehow they've convinced me to do drunken divinations. I'm like, I'm
I
thinking that
saw that.
I could be drinking vodka. It might be water. It might be. I don't know. Don't tip me.
That'll be fun.
It will be fun. It will be fun. Well, many blessings, everybody, and have a good day. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.